And if I start to grieve, cause it feels you're about to leave, forgive me, I'm not naive, I've been here before. So won't you please spare me indignity, and won't you please give me some decency, and won't you please call me if our time is through, cause I know that we fall apart when nothing's new, 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 nothing's new.
In its heyday, TF2 was one of the first games to really receive the idea of a live service treatment, which is where a game is given attention and love by its developer after it initially releases. Back then, Valve's developers clearly poured their hearts into TF2, and players like me eagerly gathered to read multi-page patch notes and play the new major update. The excitement was unimaginable. Updates were genuine events to look forward to. Sadly, those days are gone. It has now been over 8 years since Valve last released a major content update for TF2, with 2017 being Jungle Inferno, standing as the final Valve-developed major update. Since then, TF2 has only been getting seasonal updates, Scream Fortress, Smithmas, summer events, that add content made entirely by the community, by us, rather than anything Valve made themselves. Items that we make and Valve sells. These updates keep the game technically running, but they lack the personal touch that Valve used to provide. Every update since 2017 has come with a burden, a caveat that we know it's just going to be community contributions, not new Valve-made experiences. It's disheartening to realize that all the hats, maps, and item cases we've gotten in recent years, whether they are high quality or low, aren't even made by Valve at all. Even basic maintenance for the game has been sporadic. For years, TF2 casual servers were overrun by cheating bots that made the game nearly unplayable. And it wasn't even until the community decided to band together with huge movements like Save TF2 and Fix TF2 that Valve decided to even fix the issue. Although, to Valve's credit, Valve's anti-bot measures did work. The game is relatively playable. But since then, Valve has only stepped in with the occasional emergency fix or 1 hour code tweak, with the majority of fixes and patch notes again being made by the community. Valve's direct involvement with TF2 has been virtually non-existent, and thus, cracks are showing up more and more. It's gotten so bad that it's almost impossible to even queue into the maps you want, and when you do, the experience is soured enough that it's been pushing me, a huge Valve sympathizer, to go play other games in lieu of TF2.
Who is that's a cutscene? That's not you,
No.
right?
Huh?
What the fuck?
Huh?
What?
What is this?
As a longtime fan, it's deeply disappointing to see TF2 treated like a forgotten teddy bear, a toy left on the shelf just gathering dust. So, what has Valve been doing if not giving attention to TF2? Deadlock. Deadlock is Valve's latest game, not officially out yet, currently only in invite alpha, that is described as excuse me for a second, 6v6 third-person hero shooter blended with MOBA elements. It's a competitive, slow, deliberate game with multiple lanes, heroes, NPC objectives, blending magic with old-school New York vibes. Quite a departure from TF2's cartoony first-person mayhem or any of the other games that Valve has made. The closest one that could kind of compare it to would be Dota. And I'll be honest, Deadlock is not the kind of game I would normally play. I would steer away from this so hard. It's third person, highly competitive, and I have no experience with MOBAs at all, save for Awesomenauts back in like elementary school. Initially, I hated it. I hated Deadlock with a passion. The camera perspective felt weird, the learning curve was so steep with like no tutorial, and just the 6v6 objective gameplay was so intense and exhausting. And yet, I stuck with it. I stuck with Deadlock for hundreds of hours. Why? Because I craved to remember what it was like to play a game that Valve actively cared about and nurtured. I wanted to experience a game that felt living, evolving, the feeling that TF2 used to give me so many years ago. When I'm playing Deadlock, I can tell that Valve's team is pouring passion and effort into every update. The game is in active development, with the game being an alpha, with major overhauls to core systems coming regularly. In short, Deadlock is Valve's current baby, their new favorite project, and I was determined to give it a chance, even though I would hate this kind of game, if only to bask in the glow of Valve's attention again after 8 years. And then it happened.
Oh my
Oh,
god.
look, the icon to
So good! What the fuck? This is so...
One day in August, Deadlock received its biggest update ever, and everything just clicked. This update was massive, the kind of dramatic, feature-packed release I haven't seen Valve do for TF2 in so long, in ages. It added 6 new playable heroes to the game. Yes, 6, which is a lot for a game like Deadlock. And even overhauled Deadlock's just entire user experience. The game's main menu, which you had to sit through when you would queue up, was replaced with a brand new interactive lobby called the Hideout, which is where you would go hang out while you wait for your friends or just wait to queue. The visuals themselves also got a huge facelift, with the maps giving new lighting and details, and just the overall UI was completely redesigned. There were countless balance changes, even just fun little Easter eggs and details scattered around the new Hideout hub. That evening, I felt such a huge wave of deja vu for TF2's glory days. I got to jump into a call with my friends and we poured over the notes of the update. We speculated about the new heroes and debated which one would release first. Because yes, Valve made it so that you, yes you, the player, got to vote for which of the 6 heroes would be actually added first through a vote system. As soon as the update finished downloading, we booted up Deadlock, and the moment I loaded into the Hideout, I was blown away. You spawned into this grand hall with high gothic windows and flickering candles, where even the play button was cleverly integrated as a ghostly ritual table. The Hideout was filled with delightful details, a practice range filled with training dummies, a cozy corner with a bookshelf that served as a tutorial area, a replay room with a projector, and even a little nice item shop decorated as an old apothecary. It just felt so alive with how much detail was put into just this little lobby area. It felt like a creative outlet for the developers, exactly what used to happen for TF2 with updates. Running around this virtual clubhouse, discovering that I could just invite friends over to join me, or I could go visit theirs, it gave me this same giddy excitement that I used to feel about booting up a huge TF2 update years ago. Valve's attention to detail was everywhere, from the new hero designs to even just the small interactive props in this hideout. For the first time in 8 years, I was experiencing a game that had Valve magic. The polish, the creativity, the sense that the developers genuinely cared and wanted players to be delighted. I was overjoyed, but that joy was bittersweet because it reminded me of what TF2 has been missing for so long. If Deadlock is Valve's shiny new toy, TF2 was the teddy bear left behind. While Valve's been lavishing Deadlock with updates and improvements, TF2 has languished. The game hasn't gotten a single new Valve-created map, weapon, or just significant feature since 2017. All the quote-unquote updates we get are community-made, which, as I mentioned, are appreciated, and I myself am part of it with me making items in the game, and I got some accepted and I get paid by Valve, but they're not Valve's work. It's as if Valve said, here, you make the game now, and they just walked away. We have been fixing it up the best we can with the community making maps, items, entire bug fix updates that have been made by the community. But it's not the same as Valve rolling up their sleeves and doing it themselves out of love. TF2 today is essentially run on community autopilot, with Valve only occasionally stopping by to swat away a nasty bug or exploit. What hurts more is knowing that Valve hasn't truly forgotten TF2. They just choose not to actively play with it anymore. A friend of mine actually got to visit Valve's headquarters as part of a Make-A-Wish trip, and she told me that TF2's artwork and decorations are everywhere in their offices.
They had a whole room which was like for children, for children to play when their parents are working, and it was based on Pyro Land, and it had like a giant pyro balloon, the balloon animal, like with a slide in it. They had tons of decorations. They had a lot of figurines of Team Fortress 2 on display. They had a few statues, and they had a working sentry that tracked, like movement tracked you.
Clearly, Valve is proud of what TF2 accomplished and the legacy it has. The game is a huge part of Valve's identity. After all, TF2 is one of the most iconic multiplayer games ever made. Yet, in spite of that, Valve has relegated TF2 to just being a side project that only gets attention in spare moments. It's a teddy bear that they haven't thrown away yet, but just leave on the shelf and smile at fondly when they're looking at it. That emotional disconnect is especially disheartening for those of us who are still actively playing with that teddy bear every day. As Valve's biggest supporter, I do give them a little credit. TF2's age makes it a tricky project to develop now. It's a game built on this old engine with spaghetti code that undoubtedly poses challenges for anyone new trying to get into the game. And it's so much more exciting and career fulfilling to work on a new game or hardware or on just Steam itself than the game from 2007. But Valve's silence and minimal effort on TF2 sometimes makes it feel like they just don't care about the game at all. I get it. Valve is a business and has to prioritize projects, but seeing TF2 essentially abandoned is not okay. As someone who has played this game since they were 8 years old, it's frustrating to realize that our dedication to the game far surpasses the developers at this point. But given all that, I want to make something clear. I don't blame Deadlock alone for TF2's stagnation. I am genuinely rooting for Deadlock to succeed when it actually releases to the public. Experiencing Deadlock has reminded me why I first fell in love with Valve as a company. Their ability to polish and innovate within a genre is second to none. Deadlock's current state with rapid updates and even open communication with the public shows Valve at its best, a team that's deeply invested in making a game. It's so good that I often forget that it's even in a closed alpha, especially when you compare it to other games that are in alpha. I want Valve to have that kind of success, because when Valve is passionate, we all win. Valve has always been at its peak when developers are enthusiastically creating things they want to play. Deadlock is clearly a product of that enthusiasm, and it's already attracting a sizable player base in a closed alpha. And as a fan of Valve, I find that so exciting. But at the same time, it's impossible for me to not feel a pang of sadness that TF2 isn't also receiving the same love anymore. Deadlock shows what Valve can accomplish when they decide to dedicate resources and attention. Frequent content drops, modernized systems, and an engaged dev team that interacts with the community. Imagine if TF2 got even a fraction of that focus. TF2 doesn't need 100 developers on it or massive expansions every month. Even just a small, steady team at Valve could do wonders with fixing this game and making it feel loved. I wish Valve would just allocate a little bit more time to TF2 so that both games could thrive side by side. TF2 and Deadlock cater to completely different subgenres and audiences, so it's not even a direct competition. There's room in Valve's lineup for both the old and the new to be nurtured. I realize, of course, that Valve's size and philosophy make that difficult. When it comes to actual employee count, they're not a huge studio with separate large teams to run every game simultaneously. Their developers tend to swarm to one project to the next. It's unrealistic to expect Valve to suddenly spin up a full TF2 dev team again while Deadlock and other projects are going on. I understand that reality, but they have so much money and talent to work with, and it doesn't stop me from wishing for the best. TF2 was my first love, literally the first video game I ever got to play as a kid. And it's been a constant in my life for over a decade. I don't think it's wrong for me to hope that Valve might one day choose to give attention again after 8 years. Although, I will say there have been a few recent signs that give me some hope for TF2's future. Most notably, Valve surprising us by announcing an update for Man vs. Machine, which hasn't seen content since 2013. They put out a call for community-created MVM maps and missions, which is really strange, as it would be the first ever community-driven MVM update. Hearing this news makes me bittersweet with the optimism. On one hand, I'm excited at the prospect of any kind of significant TF2 update, especially to an area that hasn't been touched in over a decade. The idea of new MVM missions or maps, or even the possibility of them adding new Aussies to the game actually made me smile. It's the kind of thing we used to dream about for years but never realistically expected after Valve's languish for 8 years now. It shows that Valve is at least a little bit willing to devote a little bit more effort than usual beyond the routine seasonal updates that they've been doing. But on the other hand, it's tempted by the reality that once again, this content is made by us, the community, and not Valve. It's hard not to see the pattern. Valve is essentially outsourcing the creation of new TF2 experiences, again, to its player base. We're basically doing Valve's job for them at this point. It's gotten to a point where I don't even trust Valve to do the simple act of creating new Aussies that I had to do it for them. And even then, I feel like they're going to be too lazy to even import them. 8 years ago, Valve would use this kind of attention and momentum to do something extra. Maybe throw in a new weapon balance or official new feature alongside the update, just to show that they're going to go the extra mile. But I doubt it. They might surprise us. Maybe they'll finally implement some long requested quality of life fixes for MVM, maybe some rebalances, or add those new Aussies that I mentioned. I truly hope they do. The fact that they're even acknowledging a neglected mode like MVM is a positive sign. It tells me that there are at least a few people at Valve who still think TF2 is worth putting time into, even if it's just a small amount. But that being said, I remain cautious. Trusting Valve to deliver more than the bare minimum for TF2 is hard. So in the meantime, I'm going to enjoy Deadlock. No, I am not quitting TF2. I'm just putting the bear back on the shelf for a bit before the seam split. When the map queue itself fights me and the gameplay is unfun, I'm going to distract myself with a game its developers actually care for. Right now, that's Deadlock. And if you're in the same place I am, take a breather. Touch grass. Touch another game. Touch Deadlock. I still want Valve to love TF2 again, but until that day comes, I'm going to choose to have fun.